Well, good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the Homestead. We got back in town on Sunday. It's now Friday, and it's taken a little bit to get back in the phase of homesteading again. Putting the rally life behind us for this short period of time and doing what we need to do around here. And although I have been getting some things done, I still don't know that I've made the best use of my time. Like normal when we come home after that long summer trip. Keep in mind, we were on the road for more than 2.5 months. And, well, I always come back to a messy yard. The boys try to keep it mowed and everything, but they're not good at the weed eating. They don't spray for weeds in the areas that are getting overgrown. So I came back and I've literally got weeds that are stupid tall, some of them taller than I. And so the first thing I really wanted to do was spray. Now, I had every intention of spraying weeds before we left on that trip, but I couldn't. So the day that I went to spray the weeds, I pulled the four-wheeler out, and you guys have seen my little spray rig. I've got a 15-gallon tank that's on the back of my Polaris four-wheeler, and that's pretty suitable to get around the properties and spray what I need to spray. For some reason, it wouldn't start, and somebody had used it. The sprayer tank had been unmounted, the battery had been removed, the four-wheeler had been used for something else. So I strapped everything back on, I hooked up the battery, I pushed it out of the garage, I went to start it, and I probably pulled that pull cord 40, 50, 60 times. Choke on, choke off. I couldn't even get it to think about trying. Well, that was like 2 days before we had to leave, and I still had 1,000 other things I needed to do. I didn't have time to really work on the four-wheeler to get it running, to be able to go and do spraying. So I just put it off. So I knew that when I came home, I'd have to spray pretty much right away. So when we got home on Sunday, we pretty much took the rest of Sunday to just kind of hang out with family. We went out to dinner and just kind of get back to being home, right? Well, Monday morning, my plan was to go ahead and spray all the weeds because they were so bad. I figured if I spray them now, while we're home for that week and a half or 2 weeks, give them time to die off, and go back and kind of weed whack them and knock them down, and then spray one more time before we leave on this next trip. But completely forgetting that the four-wheeler wasn't working. So I pushed it out of the garage, and I still couldn't get it to start. So I had to come up with another solution. And sadly, I have 3 four-wheelers here that have been abused and neglected, and none of them are in running condition right now. Of course, the Polaris is the only one with like a rack system on it, like that could be used for utility purposes. The other ones are more of, sport performance type things. Didn't really play well for spraying anyways. And then I thought about the mower, but there's really no good place to strap that 15-gallon tank to a mower. So what I ended up coming up with is just grabbing a pallet that we had laying around, strapping the tank to the pallet, strapping the battery down, and just putting it on the front forks of the tractor and using the tractor driver. Now, I can't get in as many tight places with it, but all in all, it did the job pretty well. Now, it wasn't just spraying the weeds here at the house, but we've got the shop, and it's all overgrown. If you guys watch Talon's video that he put out on his YouTube channel a few weeks back, you can just see how overgrown it was. And I even left a comment in the video. So I had to spray over there as well. And then I also had to spray up at the store where we park at Goliath. And of course, such a big spraying project, realized my little 15-gallon tank just isn't enough. I think you need to upsize it because I had to refill that tank so many times. And using the tractor, there's no water supply over at the shop. So I had to come back home to refill the tank to drive back up there to spray 15 more gallons and then come back home. Anyway, wasn't the best use of my time. So here it is, a Friday morning, and the spraying is done, luckily. And I've got other projects I need to do. Now, if you guys recall, the day that we left for that long trip, this building was being built, a little 2-car garage here with the carport on it. So one of the other things I'm going to do here is, because it's just a dirt floor where we had basically excavated the land to level it out because it was so tapered here. But I don't want just a dirt floor in my garage like it is right now. And there you can see all of the four-wheelers and the dirt bike that none of which run. Actually, the dirt bike runs fine, but these all really need to be gone through. Talon says something's wrong with the mower as well. So he says it runs fine, but when you engage the blades, it shakes really bad. So apparently we've got a blade out of balance or a broken blade or something down there going on. I don't know. Haven't had a chance to look at it just yet. But back to my dirt floors. I don't want to keep dirt floors in here. I want to gravel it. So what I want to do is put a vapor barrier down first. There is, even though this has been up for 2.5 months now, there's still a couple damp spots in here because the ground moisture is coming up. And with this being a metal building, I don't want condensation inside. It'll cause it to rust. It'll drip down on things. So I think my best bet is to put a vapor barrier down first, and then I'm going to fill it with gravel. So we got a nice clean floor for storing some of the stuff in here. Now my plan for this is going to be mostly storage and minor repairs on the lawn equipment. You know, changing out blades on the mowers, stuff like that. We've got the shop for doing any major repairs, things to get taken over there. So I don't see myself having to lay on the ground in here very often. So I didn't think it was necessary to go through the expense to do like a concrete pad underneath it. So I just think a good gravel floor will be sufficient for what we need. But then of course I'm gonna come in here and build some shelves and a way to organize things like my chainsaws and the backpack blower, the sprayers, all that lawn and garden and ATV type stuff will all go in here and get organized, which helps clean out the garage so that the street motorcycles can be parked in the garage. And it also helps clean out one of my tool rooms that are in this building over here, because later this year, or over the winter into next year, I do have a remodel project for this building here. I'm not gonna get too much into that right now, but there's a lot of things in that building that need to go somewhere else, which is why I went with a much bigger lawn shed than what I had before. Anyway, my gravel guy that I want to use, his name's Sammy Barong. He lives right around the corner from us, actually. And he's actually a subscriber to the channel. He watches a lot. And I reached out to him to bring me a couple dump truck loads of gravel so that I can repair my driveway, put a gravel base in here. And I got plenty of places that need some gravel. Fortunately, he's out of town until August 2nd. So I've got a little bit of time here to get some other things done before he gets here. And with him being out of town, I can't focus on this just yet. So I've got a few other projects that I need to get back onto. You guys remember we're remodeling that bathroom, office, dining room floor area? Yeah, got to get back on that. All right, so if you guys remember when we last left off on this project, we had to jack up the floors, but before we did that, we had to rip out all of the subfloor and the underlayment, slide new subfloor and new underlayment underneath this wall, and get everything there and secured. So subfloor and underlayment in the bathroom, and just past this wall by a couple inches, is done, and that floor is jacked up. But all of the other wood you see from here over to the office and from here over to the kitchen is just temporarily installed with just a couple screws in each board to keep them from moving around. But we need to make that more permanent. Now I think there's still a little bit of a sag and a couple of the spots of these floors here where they had gotten wet before. So I may put another beam underneath there and jack it up a little bit more to shore it up. And I might even sister a couple of the floor joists, just because there's a couple that on the very tops of them where your fasteners will go in are kind of soft from the water damage, but the whole 2x10 beam is good other than that 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch at the top. So I may just sister those. That'll add some strength and give me a good fastening surface when we go to screw the new wood down permanently. So I've checked the level in multiple places, both going from the door to the wall and from the office back to the kitchen. And because I'm using a 6-foot level, for the most part, it looks like the floor is level, but it looks like there's a slight dip in the middle. In the middle of the level, depending on where I put it, I can see up to 1/8 of an inch gap on the bottom of the level. Now I suppose maybe my level isn't true. Maybe we should flip it over and see if that still applies. Yeah, so no matter which way I flip it, that's the same. I'm going to assume that my level is true and straight. So we're overall level, but we're not exactly flush, I guess. I don't know. It's so minor though, I don't know if it's worth me trying to fix. If I try to jack things up just in the middle, only 1/8 of an inch, I'm actually more likely to make it more wonky than what it is now. And it's solid. I'm still gonna sister those joints to have the soft tops. That'll add some strength. But I don't know that I'm gonna try to take out that little bit of a concave. Convex? Yeah, concave, I think. Now, end goal for this entire area, the front entryway, the laundry room, the dining room, the bathroom, it's all gonna get tile. And in that tile, it's pretty easy to be able to float that 1/8 of an inch in the mortar anyways. So the plywood that is currently here is going to be the same plywood that is going to remain. However, a few pieces are going to get swapped out. So because we did the demo in a section, we did the dining room and this closet area, what used to be a closet here first, and then we did the laundry room to the office second. We've got 3 rows of plywood here that all end on the same floor joist, and we don't want that. Now, this section here is where I finished the permanent floors. You can see that is completely screwed off and seamed, so that one's gonna stay. But this piece here is just a short piece. It goes from this seam to this seam. So that piece of plywood will completely go away, and this one will slide down. That'll stagger that seam, and then we have a seam over here on this one, so that's nice because then those seams still don't line up. But that one is a short piece that stops here, so I'll probably move this full sheet all the way down to there, which will bring this seam over to here. And then we'll just have to fill in the rest with some new full sheets, or at least as full as we can fit, obviously. I've got one spot in where the laminate is still on the office floor in that corner where it sags. We didn't get our demo line cut exactly perfect, and we came off of that rafter a little bit. So I am gonna have to hang some more dead wood up underneath there just to support that. And then hopefully we can make it all look right with the laminate going back in there once we build the new wall that will go right about here. All right, so I guess before I move the dining room table out of the way and start pulling all of this stuff up, I need to take stock of what I've got for materials. I know I've got enough wood to get me at least past that dining room point. And I think I'm gonna do it in a phase there so that I don't have to take the dining room table and the washing machine all out at the same time. I'll do that area, and then I can put that stuff back, and then I can move the washing machine out and do this area. And that way the whole floor isn't ripped up all at one time either. But I need to take stock in my materials. I need to make sure I get enough screws to do the final screw down on this. I also need to make sure I got enough of the subfloor adhesive, like the liquid nail, to put on those rafters, as well as whatever wood I need to be able to sister or scab those joists. Those just a couple, there's only 2 or 3 down here that really need that. It was right below where the water heater was, which is where the leak was, and it got the most wet over the longest period of time.
We only have one left.
Yep. Okay, so we just made it back from our local Lowe's in town, and I bought 4 more sheets of the 23 32 plywood and 7 sheets of the 15 32. because I got a few sheets of the 23/32 in here that's actually in pretty good shape that we're going to reuse still. That was part of my temporary floor. We got a couple that we had to cut up into smaller pieces, and I'd rather use full sheets where I can. So, and we got a few of those. I also got 4 2x6s for those couple of floor joists that we're going to need to sister or scab. A whole bunch of more construction adhesive to glue the subfloor down to the floor joists, as well as some screws and some other things that we're going to need. Now, I also just realized that at the beginning of the video, I told you it was Friday. It's not Friday, it's Thursday. It's actually late Thursday. It's about 5 o'clock in the evening now. We've got all this stuff here and staged. The plan is to start ripping this out and redoing it tomorrow morning. But I just want to get everything here so I don't have to waste time during the day tomorrow when I want to get the actual progress done. I would start it tonight because I got a couple hours of daylight left, but I've actually got an HOA meeting in, I don't know, like an hour and a half or something like that. So I need a shower and get cleaned up and eat dinner before I go over to the meeting. So we're just going to put this on pause until tomorrow morning. I've also asked Talon if he was busy, if maybe he'll help me. If he can, great. I'm not sure if he can or not. All right, guys. Well, it is the next day. Almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Our day has gotten away from us again. I wanted to start this about 9 o'clock this morning. That didn't happen. Anyway, Katie and I have taken about half an hour and basically got everything off of the floor in the area that we're going to work. Dining room table's gone, washer, dryer, the shop vac. Weird things. I guess somebody used the shop vac while we're gone to clean up dog food. And I guess it didn't get sucked all the way into the vacuum cleaner all the way. It was in the hose. The hose wasn't attached to the vacuum, so I rolled the vacuum over here, then I went back and I picked up the hose, and as I'm carrying it across the floor, literally like 3 pounds of dog food fell out of it. A huge pile. Who does that? Our kids. That's who. That's the answer. Our kids. All right, so just to recap, I think that most of what we're doing is going to get reused here. So we're going to go through and pull up all of these screws, except for these pieces here. These are already subfloor that are final down, but that section right there is going to come up. All of this through here is going to come up. Then all of this over here, with the exception of that one, is all going to come up, and we're going to reattach it permanently with the adhesive underneath completely screwed off instead of just one screw in the corner. Now, if I'm not mistaken, all of or almost all of this is the 23/32 thickness, so almost 3/4, just a tiny hair shy. And then and that's perfect for what we did in the bathroom. Everything will match up. There was one trip, I think, to the store where I grabbed the wrong size, so I just got to verify that all those are the right thickness, and then we'll reattach it. We got to fix a few things like the big gap right here, but I want to reuse this board because it's already cut out for our cables. I also want to reuse this one because it's already cut out for the dryer vent and all the plumbing pipes going in the wall. But so I may just cut this one shorter and then use another filler piece there as long as the seams don't line up with one another, which they shouldn't. Yeah, I should be able to make that where it doesn't. And then I'll just have to cut a filler piece to put in there to clean that all up. All right, well, quick change of plans. Kate and I were just getting ready to go through and start unscrewing all these screws. And Joe called me, the guy that owns the property where my shop is and where we park at Goliath, and he needed some help with something this week, and I completely forgot that I told him that Friday afternoon he could call me and I'd run up and help him. Well, we're just now getting started on this, and I gotta stop and go help him. All right, guys, as you can see, I'm back from the gas station, and Talon is here helping me, but he's only got about an hour. So I've gone through and taken all the screws out. Now we're going to be pulling these boards up. We're going to do our sistering where it's necessary, and then glue these back down in their permanent places. I've numbered the boards because some of them are going to go back in the same exact spots that they already were. Okay, so you see we got one joist sistered so far. We've got the next one getting ready to go in on the next joint. And so, guys, this isn't really structural. I mean, it is. We're still adding a 2x6 to the side of this, but it's really just to give us a solid nailer, because as you see, the top of some of these joists are a little bit torn up and a little bit water damaged. So my concern was with grip. I didn't want to put a screw in there, but going into really soft wood and it not be able to hold and again pulled out with the vibration and flexing of the house. So with the good 2x6s next to it, we'll make sure to screw into those, and that'll keep the clamping force that we really need on this. Sucks compared to what he's doing. All right, just in time, Zach came over to help us out. So yeah, my job just got a little bit easier. Another way, seated.
Come for your beer break.
That was hard work. Oh.
It's like y'all are square dancing.
It was just a little tight, you know.
Well, I know that from your perspective, this doesn't look like any different than we started with, but it's done. Not done. Subfloor is done, right? So it's been glued, it's been screwed. This is permanent. It's not coming back up. I still need to put the layer of underlayment over top. It's gotten late though. It's getting dark. Talon had to go home. Zach had to go home. So it's just Katie and I now. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to make a few more cuts and start kind of pre-cutting the underlayment, because I want to stagger my seams. So I want to take my skinny row like I have here, and I want to put it against this wall. That way full sheets will lay down after that. But like I said, from your point of view, it doesn't look any different. But from our point of view, it's solid, it's finished, it's like there's no more flex, no more pop where you step on the board and you feel it hit the rafter, you hear it hit the rafter. It's a big difference. All right, guys, well, it looks like I got pretty lucky. I measured that little piece there, our narrowest band, and it was 16 inches. And the reason that's perfect is because with an 8-foot by 4-foot sheet of plywood, if I wanted to take the most even pieces out of it that I could, would be 16 inches, because then it gives me 3 strips that are 16 inches minus our kerf. Basically, the 1/8 of an inch of the saw blade takes away. It's okay, because we need a little bit of a gap anyway. So I basically took 1 sheet of plywood and I ripped it into 3 16-inch wide pieces. And I've got the 2 of them laying here. I need to come by and mark where my cables go through so I can slide them all into the wall. And that's going to leave us about a 7-foot piece here, which will take out of that third 8-foot section. that works perfect because now once those are slid all the way into the wall, I should be able to throw down 2 more 8-foot by 4-foot pieces and just run. Small exception. Right here where the bathroom kicks out, we went a little wide with that piece. So I am gonna have to kind of notch one of them like an inch, inch and a half in. But yeah, that worked out perfect because I needed 3 lengths in order to get this, you know, almost, it's almost, what's 3 times 8? 32? What?
3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32.
Yeah. So we almost needed the full 24 feet of those 16-inch wide sections at 8 feet long. We are gonna have a little bit of a scrap, but this worked out perfect. So let me get these marked and cut and get them slid into place. And then we can just start dropping like full sheets for the next couple until we get to a spot we gotta cut again.
Watch your fingers.
Quarter. Well, I'm hoping that the time lapse showed you kind of what we went through. We had a little bit of trouble getting these 16-inch pieces here along the edge to fit because there was like one part of a nail hanging down. We're trying to get it under that wall. Took a little bit, but we got it. Also, when I went out there to do the cuts, I forgot to cut for my dryer vent. And then when I did cut it, I cut it a little bit wrong, but I can come back in and touch that up with a Sawzall later on. I've still got a few pieces here by this doorway. And along this edge, I'm gonna have to make a little strip. I'm just over it for the night. It's like, I don't know, what time is it? So yeah, it's like 9:30 at night, and I just don't really feel like doing anymore. None of this has been screwed down yet. It's all just been cut and put into place. So at least now I know it all fits. It's all trimmed out around, everything it needs to be trimmed out around. So yeah, this close to being done with it. Another couple hours of just screwing everything down. And we'll be able to call this section of this project complete. But we're gonna have to do that tomorrow, I think. All right, back at it again today. Still didn't get started until this afternoon. If you could tell in the time lapse, we'd actually made a mistake and didn't realize it till last night after we kind of like put the camera down. That one board in the middle right there, it wasn't actually dropped down into the hole, so to speak, right? Part of it was, the lip was caught up on the edge of the subfloor and underlayment that we haven't taken up. So I had to start by taking that outside and cutting like 3/8 of an inch off of it. I guess somehow as we put other ones in, we kind of got it to pop up. Now, some of these sheets of plywood had a slight, bow to them. So we tried to put the center of the bow face down with the edges curling up. That way, as we go through, starting at the center and screwing everything off, it would kind of lay flat and keep pressure downwards rather than concave like this and then trying to squat it, right? So apparently somehow we got one edge kicked up. So I took it outside, cut it off, dropped it back in, and then it was just time to get it all screwed down. And guys, that is such a time-consuming and tedious process. I don't know how many screws I actually screwed in, and I'm not done yet. But yeah, you can see in the time lapse, just a lot of on your knees, not comfortable position at all. Sometimes I'd stand up and put screws in. Other times I'd like be down on one knee, and other times on both knees. Just then you're like, trying to support your back and everything. Not fun. I'm glad I don't do construction for a living anymore. But the good news is they are all screwed down and fastened. Now, along my seams, the edges of the boards, I need to go through and put a few more screws in. I left that spacing a little bit longer, so I think I'm going to add one screw in between each screw, and some places too. But in the field, I put them, 7-8 inches apart, and in rows they're about 12 inches apart, give or take. So that should hold everything down nice and secure. I just want to get a few more around those edges. And I've still got to fill in this little, and I still got to fill in this little area here. And they're slightly different levels. It's like, that's the subfloor. This was what I've been calling underlayment, which may not actually be underlayment. Anyway, and then that is a little bit different thickness. And then we got that little gap there. And I need a thin strip just to run along there. So I think I'm gonna go get those cut and put into place and screwed down. And then I'll probably just go back and finish off the rest of this seam screwing. Well, it looks like I got just a little bit lucky. That narrow gap right there along the wall, that strip is actually what I cut off of this piece. You see where it has the notch here and went up, and it was just perfect to lay in that gap. So all I had to do was cut this one piece here, and it fits right in there like so. Nicely. Now there is a slight difference in level under there because that piece that this sets on over here is a piece of 3/4 or 23/32. And then it's going over top of a little bit of 1/2 inch. There's a little bit of a gap there and no way to like really even it up. So I'm just going to use some of the floor joist adhesive that I got. I'm going to put like a big puddle of it in there. So when I set it down in, it'll kind of fill that little bit of a gap once it's dry and hard. And I'm not overly concerned about this by any means because this door is coming out. It's going to go bye-bye and it will get framed in, and then drywall will go right straight across it. We're eliminating this door. So nobody's going to be walking through there, stepping there. In fact, once we frame it in, there'll be 2x4s on top of it. So it's not going to matter. Well, like I said earlier, I know it doesn't look like a huge improvement on screen to you guys, but this is so much more solid than what it was. Being able to sister those few joists that were a little bit on the weak side, they weren't weak, but a little bit soft on top. Even though, we just did 2x6 and not 2x10, it still added strength to them, a lot less deflection. And with everything being glued and screwed and finished off, we have a nice solid foundation now. At this point, subfloors are 100% done. And like I said, it doesn't look like a lot. This doesn't look all that different than when we started this video. But it is a huge difference, and it's a milestone worth getting past. Now, we still have a lot more projects to do in this remodel, but at this point, the things that we do will really start taking shape quickly. Like, this was a daunting task. This was the hardest part of this whole thing. And I know it's taken us months to get here, but now things should go faster. So the next couple things on my list to do, and not necessarily in this order, is I got to get the tub fit. I got to build the ledger, put the tub in there, mark where the drain's going to be, pull the tub back out, do all the final fitment. We're going to build the closet here. All of this drywall has got to come down at least over to where the new office wall is going to go, which will be right about here past the washer and dryer. Right where this drywall is, there will be a wall that comes across here with a double door, and then we can put the floors back down in the office once that wall is there. So the simple things that need to be done will make it look like the progress is happening pretty fast. This door is going to come out, and we're going to frame that in so that it's all going to be one solid wall. So guys, stay tuned for the rest of it. But for now, I think we're going to end this video. Today is actually Katie and I's 28th wedding anniversary. And so she is cooking up some steaks while I've been cleaning up in here. And tomorrow, Mama Esther's coming over. I believe Mike and Alicia are coming over as well. And we're going to do kind of like a little cookout, get together kind of thing. It's Labor Day weekend. We always celebrate our anniversary on Labor Day weekend, but this year it actually falls on Labor Day weekend, which is only like once every 4 or 5 years that actually happens. So we're looking forward to that. So you guys enjoy your holiday. And until the next time we see you.
Keep those engines running.
I was sure she was going to say it or not. Good night, guys.